So my name is Karel Piwko, and as you have probably already figured out, I have studied here as well. Long time ago, actually, this building hasn't existed at that time. And since then, I went through building a career in quality engineering. I spent a decade stepping up the ladder in managerial positions. And last year, I decided to change the career track again, and I went to a role that is focused on developer productivity. And what has started as an evaluation of a few tools to understand things about planning, things about code, and similar stuff has quickly turned into AI. And I've been drinking from the fire hose since. And I believe that if I, as a manager, was able to switch to AI, I'm very confident you can do the same. And I'm here to tell you a bit about my story and about how you can do it. If you have any questions during this presentation, please feel free to interrupt me immediately on the slide. So Cedric was talking a bit about history. I will talk about history as well. In late 2022, ChatGPT emerged. And things have been moving very fast since. In less than 3 years, there have been major advancement in the capabilities of the model and in their performance as well. We now have models that are multimodal. So they can, for instance, identify a dog based on the description, based on the sound, barking, and based on the visual. And this is only because the way how model works right now, their tokenizers and the internal structure is able to understand this is the same thing. We have reasoning models as well. So reasoning models are giving us a lot of advantages in complex logical problems such as math solving or coding. And they really feel to be smarter. They are still based on the Gen AI. However, both these advancements have led to new use cases of AI. So a few years back, we were talking about augmenting our workflows. AI can help us to do part of our job. But we are now talking about automating our workflows. We are talking about agents, and I'm pretty sure that there will be a lot of talks where you can hear more details about them later today and tomorrow. But if you think about agents, it kind of gives us an opportunity to have a skilled junior worker next to us, a digital assistant, if you will, and they can actually do the work in a matter of minutes. So we have seen also a lot of AI things being included in the major tools. Things like Google Suite has Gemini support. Things like GitHub has Copilot. We can see AI in consumer devices, Samsung and mobile phones and so on. So we have seen that AI has a potential to change a lot in our lives, and we have seen that the change is coming faster than we have ever believed. AI has led also to a revolution of the job market. And there are multiple roles that have been significantly impacted since the inception of ChatGPT. We can talk about customer support roles or content writers or legal assistant, people who are doing back office functions, graphic designers, right? Like this image right there, like I just asked ChatGPT to generate it for me. Done deal. There are even roles that have mostly been made redundant at this point. So call center agents, people who are doing basic translation, and so on. And all the other jobs are evolving very rapidly. There are studies that are saying that over 90% of the jobs in tech will go through a major or up to significant transformation by the next 4 years. There are even studies that say that AI will cause hundreds of millions of jobs to disappear from the market in the next 4 years. And at the same time, a number of new jobs that will probably be even larger will emerge on the market. What the jobs that have been made redundant have actually in common? They are often repetitive and rule-based, so they can be easily automated. They rely on written or visual data, which means AI is actually in a very good position to understand the job as well. And they have low context debt. So it's, again, easy to automate it. This is a trait or characteristics that is also similar for junior roles. Because as a junior, how you usually start your work? You kind of start your career starting on a small, repetitive tasks with low context depth. So what it means for you? How can you become AI ready? Well, in short, I would say work with AI, not against it. And embrace this as a moment when a lot of things are changing. Be open to experiment in understanding how AI can change your work and your life. I think as adults, we really learn by networking and experimentation. So find means how you can get your hands dirty, how you can network. It's great that you are here because you can actually talk to many other people who have some experiments in AI right here. And be comfortable using AI to make decision-making in your processes. But at the same time, you have to be critical about the outputs of AI. Think about what you are getting back from the models. There are some skills that will make this easier for you. So I tend to categorize AI skills into two different categories. I will call them non-technical skills, which are the skills that you mostly need in case you are not building your own LLM models or models in general. And then there are technical skills, which you need if you want to either build or update an existing model, or if you want to host a model for inference purposes. They are really about a lot of things, but the non-technical skills are understanding the basic terms in AI, right? Like the AI literacy. You need to be able to ask the tool and use it effectively. You want to be able to validate the content and rule out hallucinations, for instance. You want to understand the data privacy, data security, and the regulations in the area. And if you want to make your life easier, you need to understand how you can automate this and integrate it into existing workflow. The technical skills, the core AI engineering, as I call it here, is really if you want to become involved in developing new models, for instance, you need to understand things like deep learning, machine learning, various AI frameworks that are on the market, natural language processing, tokenization, computer vision, a lot of things like that. Model training, model testing, model deployment, another aspect, like the life cycle of the model itself is quite complicated. Monitoring and continuous integration, continuous delivery, and data quality, preparing the data for the model. That's a lot of things. Fortunately, the key is to understand that a lot of these skills are actually not new. And you probably already have them. It's just applying them in a different context. So what is left out of AI skills is the AI literacy. Like if somebody's talking about a model, you need to understand what a model is. And depending on your career plan, actually, you don't really need to go into the core AI skills right now. So the thing here is, what are the other skills that you need to focus on? And I have already mentioned, you just are applying them in a different content. Some people say that AI is, they are skeptics about AI. They say it's a buzzword and so on. I believe the skills that are listed here are always relevant, regardless of what is the current technology that is most popular. So you always want to learn how to ask the right questions. You want to learn how to think critically about information. You want to learn when it's appropriate to use a specific tool, how to apply your knowledge and your data in a new ways, in a new workflows, and how you can bring your experiments into production. Those are the skills that will be always relevant, and AI actually gives you a great opportunity to go back to them and exercise them. If you would ask me to reduce that list even further, I would say there are just two skills that are important, and I believe they are not so much associated with AI. So the first thing is prompt engineering, and that is about asking the model the right way. So when you are asking ChatGPT, for instance, you can have a use case where you are doing a research, and in that case, you want to get a lot of diversity and variety in your responses because you want to learn something new. But if you are, for instance, using a model in your enterprise use case, you need to frame your question in a way that it is very reliable. And there's a lot of techniques about that. You need to be able to understand how to communicate clearly, how you can use concepts and abstractions, and you also need to understand how to build a feedback loop around what you are getting back from the model so you can validate the response. And to some extent, you are basically externalizing your brain. You are building a mental model of how you think, and you are passing it to somebody else to do the work on your behalf. This is a great skill to have, because if you would become a manager, you are kind of like doing the same thing when you are talking to people. The other thing is about data engineering, and I think Cedric has shown something during the keynote about, wow, the data in the world are not structured. And the thing is that models are only as good as the data that you use to train them or connect to the model. So garbage in, garbage out. And many of the existing systems are not ready to produce the data in a format that machines can understand them. So this is where you can start. You can start with making sure that your system have the right APIs, that you can at least export the data in a good format. And if you build a solid foundation of APIs around your stuff, you can start small with just using the data, put it into the context of your questions. But it opens multiple paths in the future. Like you can use MCP and integrate your knowledge with some LLM model. So talking about skills, they are only one part of the transformation that needs to happen. There's also like the path that will bring you from where you are right now into being AI ready for the future. And I believe that this transformation really depends on where you are with respect to your job, with respect to your seniority, with respect to your talent, passion, and so on. And I will start with some common software development roles, and I will try to illustrate how you can think about that transformation yourself. So every presentation needs to have some charts, right? So here are mine. Question for the audience: how many software engineers are in the room? Quite a lot. That's great. So you can hopefully provide an evidence to my claim. What you can see on the charts illustrates how you proceed in building your knowledge over time. So if you are a software engineer, you usually start your career by focusing on a depth of knowledge. So you build an understanding of a library, of a framework, or a tool, and you go deep into how this tool really works and operates. Over time, this grows into a set of tools, eventually might become a platform or ecosystem, and at that moment, your knowledge starts to get much broader. And probably you don't only have a technical knowledge at that point, but you also understand the customers, their business, sales, marketing maybe, and a lot of other things beyond engineering role. If you are at that moment, you are a seasoned professional, and the switch towards AI will be relatively easy for you because your knowledge is both deep and broad. But if you are at the early stages of the career, you can see compared to the AI engineer, you have a gaps in breadth. So this is where you need to spend your time. And actually, AI can help you here a lot. You can use AI as a research assistant to learn something about a new domain. You can use it to prototype some code outside of your core skills. You can translate concepts across domains. So let's say that you understand relational databases, you look into JSON files, and you want to understand what normalization means there because you really understand the concept of normalization. And you can build your own personal learning path. I believe if you are a software engineer, AI gives you a big boost and you can actually get much faster in delivering code. The other popular role, quality engineer. So how many quality engineers are in the room? Quite a few as well, not as so many. So I have some good news for you. Because if you are a quality engineer, you start with the bread first. You need to understand the system under test that usually consists of multiple components. You need to understand the interactions among them. You need to get familiar with the use cases of your customer. You are more exposed to the other parts of the software lifecycle model, and so on. As you grow more senior, you need to get into the technology. So this is where you start building more deep knowledge, things like non-functional testing, for instance, where you are trying to figure out why a performance of a particular piece of code is so poor. And if you are seasoned, you can see on the chart, the switch towards AI will be quite easy for you because, again, you have both breadth and depth of your knowledge. However, because you are starting with the breadth, it gives you an advantage in the prompt engineering. I also believe that quality engineers are always trying to break the things, so this gives them a habit of trying to understand how things really work, and definitely some foundations of critical thinking. So if you are trying to use AI to accelerate your career, you can use it to analyze unknown systems, for instance, explore non-functional aspects of code, speed up adoptions of new tools, or even impersonate the other roles. So you can have a chat conversation with your prospect customer trying to understand what is the real use case because your PM hasn't provided it for you. So I feel as QE, you are in a better position than a software engineer because you can become smarter, more impactful, and more visible by using AI. As it turns out, many other IT roles, such as, I don't know, DevOps engineers, IT admins, product managers, program managers, Scrum masters, managers in general, they kind of like share similar characteristics. They start with breadth first, and then they go deep into specific topics. So we talk about the skills and identify where you are right now, how you can use AI a bit, but this is still not a path forward, right? So let's talk about some theories. The first one that I would like to bring is called OPT, or Organization Passion Talent. And this theory basically says that the person performs the best in their career if they work on tasks that are in the intersection among what organization, this can be their team, their company need, what is their talent, and what is their passion. The other thing that I've already mentioned is learning by 70-20-10 principle, which means like as adults, we learn a lot by networking, which is 20%, and 70% is a hands-on experience. So if you just like consume the content of the workshops or you read the book, this is great, but it's not really using your full potential. So what it means from the perspective of AI, you can start with the AI foundations as your training. You can go into networking. You can pick up any skill you want. You need to be able to observe others at work and talk to them. And the experimentation, I really invite you to build your own AI success stories. So think of any data, think of any process that is causing you challenges and try to use it from the very beginning, like processing the data, towards using AI technology to get you answers based on the data. If you don't know where to network, I really recommend you to do that in open source projects and communities. And you can also network at meetups, communities of practice, schools, universities, conferences like this one. So when I was talking about OPT, a few hints on what you can do here. How do you understand your talent? Sometimes it is not about just the feedback from others, but you can also learn a lot of things just by thinking of what you really enjoy and what you do effortlessly, or skills that you picked up very quickly. I tend to think of flow states. From time to time, it happens to every one of us, hopefully. Flow state is when you are deep into something that you forget that your lunch was supposed to happen 3 hours back. If you are in a flow state, you are really working on something where you are talented and where you have passion at the same time. For the passions, like explore what you like to read, research, and discuss, what you enjoy the most in your past work life. Think about your core values, what brings you the energy. And actually, you don't need to stay focused on your job description and your work, like think about those things in general. And for the organization, simply understand the value that you can deliver, how you can impact your team, your customers, your users, how you can impact the world. And build your why, identify why you want to do something. Once you have that, think of an AI use case from end to end. So think of how you can use AI to help or solve a problem, starting with the data, ending with using that model to leverage the data to answer the questions. This is basically your learning path. So to give you some examples how it could look like, I would say that the seniority of where you are defines the scope. So I think that's quite obvious, right? Like if you are really beginning your career, you want to start with something small, you are not in a position to lead a transformation of a big company towards AI. But I think the important part is to make sure that you use all that knowledge to build your own personalized path, and to use that 70-20-10 principle in that. And if you want to have any success criteria, I would say frame it. Say like, go to a chatbot and say like, I want to spend 4 weeks here. This is my passions. This is my skills. And if you actually spend more time in it, you will learn more than you expected. So this means that you are on the right track. So some examples from for the junior roles, you want to experiment with prompt engineering, you want to contribute to the projects you are passionate about, you want to pair with AI engineers for code and architecture reviews, for instance, and you want to understand how AI contributes to your work in general. The mid-career people are usually getting the most value by that experience, starting with proof of concept and getting into production, because there's a lot of steps you need to perform for an AI model to be hosted in production, for it to scale so that you have ability to serve your customers and so on. And I believe that people at this point should also share back their knowledge, whatever they have learned. I think people are always underestimating that you can always learn a lot as a mentor as well, not just as a mentee. So this is kind of like useful for both parties, but also, think of it as this is a transition, and there's a lot of people who would be caught unaware of AI will eat their world. And the more you can share this with technical audience, but the more you can share with your families, your friends who are not in technical roles, more likely they will become prepared for this. If you are a senior, you can lead transformations, you can share your knowledge at conferences, schools, universities, as I mentioned. You can look into things like AI ethics, compliance, and similar. So you kind of like extend your scope in AI. I tried to do this myself. So this is the plan that ChatGPT gave me based on what I just described. So I was talking about my passions, which are about catalyzing changes, sharing knowledge, having an impact. I was also talking about some of my skills. I put there my LinkedIn profile and enumerated a few of them. And like, what I would really like to see is, at some point in the future, I would like all the major companies, if they are hiring skills, they go to the Czech Republic because they know we have folks who really understand AI here. And there's a lot of things to it, but I was interested in how AI can help me to get into a better position to have the skills to promote this story. So this is what I ended up with. I have only pasted here the experiments, so the hands-on stuff, because ChatGPT is very verbose. But it recommended me to read some books. It recommended me to do the networking activities in the company, to go to the conferences, to have the hands-on experience. I think it's quite good because then you can kind of like follow up, and for each of those topics, you can get the latest and greatest on the market. But as I said, the important stuff is to do the experiments. So, takeaways. As I said, work with AI, not against it. And if you can only take one thing out of this presentation, it would be experiment. Experiment with AI tools. Experiment with real data. Build a scenario that starts with data preparation, ingestion, and end up with a model that is able to serve those data and answer your questions. If you want to increase your bar, I invite you to take two things out of this presentation: experiment, and the other one is share. So share what you learn, share with your coworkers, with your families, with your friends, with universities, with schools, with open source communities, with communities of practice, with customers, like anybody you can think of. Share the word, share the word to the world, because there's an avalanche upcoming, and many people are blindfolded. Make them aware and help them in this transformation. So if you liked this presentation or not, feel free to reach at LinkedIn. There's a QR code to my profile. And I also invite you to a panel presentation or panel discussion later today in this room. Thank you. Are there any questions? Yes? Yeah, so the question is about what are the source data for the knowledge progression. I think to some extent it's anecdotal evidence based on the experience working with people. On the other hand, multiple LLM models were very keen to confirm that this is the reality. So take it. Yes, it is. Any other question? Okay, thank you.